everyone, welcome back to my channel. You are watching Sukai Todd, aka me. Today is my long overdue, it's been a long time coming, spoiler review of Spider-Man Brand New Day 2026. Now to be clear, I saw this movie not on opening night, unfortunately, but I saw it the weekend after, and I wasn't the only one. So before we get started, as always, these are just my thoughts and opinions. Take what you want, leave the rest. Okay? Okay. Play nicely in the comments. Thank you. Alright, so to begin, the movie is... If I were to give it an overall description or theme, I would say that the movie is hopeful and bittersweet. It's neither totally happy nor totally depressing, which I think is a relief that a lot of Spider-Man fans really need right now. Yes, I'm speaking for myself in this. But the movie starts out, Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, is basically isolated, living what he thinks is the single man's life. Addicted, not just married, but addicted to his life as Spider-Man. You know, not just married to the job, as one of his detective friend says, but is basically addicted to his job as Spider-Man. And, you know, he's celebrated as Spider-Man overall. Unfortunately, J. Jonah Jameson is not in this movie. I'm sorry to break it to you. But hopefully he'll have a cameo in Spider-Man 5. We are Venom. Anyway, a girl can dream. And he's feeling really isolated and disconnected. And he's dealing with the consequences of the choices he made in No Way Home and how he fits into the aftermath of that choice. So, also, if you want me to review Spider-Man No Way Home, let me know. But, yeah, he's adjusting. He's very much adjusting to his place in the world and in life, I would say. When Sandy Sink, aka Jean Grey, starts coming after him telepathically with her mutant powers. Yeah, major spoiler there. And she low-key tries to steal MJ, which makes me think, is she leaning towards the lesbianism? I'm not complaining. I don't think that's woke. Lesbians have been around for a very long ass time. This is a bisexual woman saying this. Okay? Okay. Alright. So, Jean Grey, in a sense, does try to steal MJ from him. And also his relationships, Peter / Spidey's relationship with Frank Castle. Freaking Punisher, the freaking Punisher. Like, their on-screen relationship was fantastic. He was a fantastic addition. And the way they argued about how, you know, we're friends. Remember that time on Saturday night? No, we're not friends. It was just a moment on Saturday night. Like, all that arguing, and MJ's just standing there like, what did I just walk into? And I don't know if she said this exactly, but she was like, I'm guessing you two are friends, or something to that effect. And then there's a scene where she says to Peter, when Zendaya asks her husband in real life, do you have a Mrs. Spider-Man? That made me and the whole theater gasp in laughter. We were all, everyone in that nearly packed theater were just gasping, giggling, laughing, slightly holding back tears. Because it's like, we know in real life they're married, but the fact that they added that, and it felt ad-lib to me. It felt like a very natural conversation, so if it was scripted, great. If it wasn't, even better. I'm just saying. If that was just like a natural conversation and they just decided to keep it in the film, that makes it even better, in my opinion. And so the Mrs. Spider-Man scene was really fun to watch. And you could just tell the chemistry they had. That in real life, they're just meant to be. They're perfect for each other. We love you, Mrs. Spider-Man. Okay, moving on. Which makes the scene later on, after PD / Spidey tries to save MJ multiple times. And before I get into that, I'll tell you this. The Hulk, Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo, I think Mark Ruffalo did an excellent job as the Savage Green Hulk, I guess. He was savage when he needed to be, but he was humanized. Like, he did an excellent job playing Dr. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. And when he recovered from the hulkingness, when he was no longer Hulk and he was asking, "Is everyone okay?" I was sniffling because he was hulked up twice. So it's like, "Oh, Hulk. Oh, we feel you, bro. We feel you." And this movie is a tearjerker. I'm not even going to front. I was crying basically through the entire second half. There were some scenes where I was laughing. Don't get me wrong. It's not a total depressing thing. Like I said, it's bittersweet and hopeful. But the more important thing is that near the end, after Peter finds out that damage control don't do much controlling and more damage than it should, damage control does a little less control and a lot more damage. You can quote me, but you have to say Sukai Todd said that. You're welcome. Well, before Peter ran off to save Jean Grey, who could have literally blown up the whole place. She could have blown up all of New York had she really wanted to, but neither here nor there. Peter and MJ have a very deep conversation, and I was crying throughout that whole moment up until she said, "I don't have a phone. Can you take me home?" And the whole audience was laughing in relief. Like, thank God there's the comedy relief moment. But yeah, she said to him, this is a huge ass spoiler. She said to Peter, MJ told Peter, that spell or whatever worked because I don't love you because I don't even know you. And she said it with such sadness and such conviction. It was heartbreaking. And he had to accept it. He had no other way. I'm not going to cry. Anyway, so after that, he takes MJ back to her apartment with Ned. Oh, Ned's great in this. Jacob, I believe. Life is Aloha on Instagram. Yeah, that guy. Ned was amazing in this movie. And spoiler alert, he was the hopeful part. Because MJ reintroduced Peter/Spidey to Ned, and that was a very tender thing. That was very kind of her. Which makes you think, is she really not remembering nothing? Because I feel like there's some part of her that knows. Give me hope, Spider-Man 5, please. Anyway. But yeah. Ned and Spidey have a great talk, and then Peter goes off to save Jean Grey. And the most emotional part of the movie was when the flashbacks of Aunt May, played by Marissa, I'm not going to butcher her last name, from Spider-Man No Way Home, comforts Jean, and then Peter comes in on the flashback, or whatever the fucking telepathicness was going on, and he embraces Jean for who she is. And he realizes through that, comforting conversation that he doesn't have to do it by himself. He doesn't have to isolate himself. And that hit home for me because I've been, you could say, a soloist creatively for most of my creative life. I've been a very hyper independent person, so I know a good thing or two about isolation and lonesomeness and the fortress of solitude without the helpful robots. Trust me, I know it. So, the movie ends after Jean pretty much saves Peter from Frank accidentally Frank tried to save him, it didn't work out too well, but he ended up saving him in a way, so yay. And Peter and Frank finally admitted they were friends, so that's a good thing. And then Frank's ending, where he saved Peter from having to walk out in a Spidey suit, that was hilarious. I was laughing through tears because it was so sweet and hilarious. And then Peter visits May's grave for like the I don't know how manyth time in the movie, because he visits Aunt May's grave quite frequently. And why does it say 2024 on her grave? I thought it was 2021. I'm confused. Anyway, are they counting the re-release? I don't know. But it should say whatever date to 2021, because that's when her character sadly got Green Goblin away. Anyway, moving on. At the end of the movie, Peter says to Aunt May in spirit, he talks to her in front of the grave, and he says, I think you'd be happy to know that I am not doing it all by myself anymore. I've learned what you said, and I've finally taken it to heart. I don't have to do it all on my own. And that, ooh, I felt that because I know what that's like. I'm learning that lesson as we speak, so yeah. So before we get into my overall rating, there are a few things I want to discuss. The first being that I think that the politics shouldn't really count. Yeah, there's some politics within the movie with damage control particularly. And also Black Widow played by Yelena Florence Pugh. The small potatoes of it all. I actually found her quite charming because I don't know enough about the Black Widow side of Marvel to really care. Sorry, not sorry. But Yelena's Black Widow was actually quite fun to watch. And she really did have she grounded it as well. And I really like the grounded feel of everything. I mean, I know it's called Brand New Day and it's set strictly in New York, but just the feeling of no multiversal bullshit. That was nice. Also, I want to bring up this counter argument, not because I am trying to start any fandom wars, because that's stupid too, but I want to acknowledge this because I think it's important too. I don't think that it's wrong to dislike the movie because it took 10 years for Tom Holland's Peter, I should say, to master the basics. AKA Peter Parker being broke, alone, and sad. Those are the basics for Peter Parker in terms of Spider-Man lore. Those are the basic Spidey elements. So for those who don't like the movie for that reason, I'm honestly not upset. I actually see your point, and to a certain extent, while I do love the movie, I agree with that. I agree with that point because 10 years is a long time. I would have preferred this to be his opening film, to be quite honest. But I think given his version of Spider-Man, this arc is how it needs to be. And I think the title Brand New Day does perfectly suit it. But I'm not gonna discourage that debate. I think it's important to have. And I think it's important to have nuanced conversations about things like this because we all love it and it's so fucking frivolous in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that counter argument because I think it's actually a good one. And if you don't like the movie for those reasons, I ain't mad. You do you. I'ma do not you. But I also see your point. So, yay you. And yay me. But, yeah, to wrap things up, for those who are complaining about, wah, white girl is special trope, she's not the only one who was dealing with being special in that movie. Okay. It's called Spider-Man Brand New Day for a reason. And they're heading down the mutant X-Men route, so I don't think this is a big leap, to be quite fair. And I think it does kind of set up Doomsday a little bit, but I don't know if I'm watching that or not, because Brand New Day broke me. Do I want to really answer to Doom? I'm not so sure, but we'll see. But I want to say this before I go over the 20-minute mark in this audio. My overall rating for Spider-Man Brand New Day in this spoiler review, 10 out of 10. Excellent movie. Watch it for yourself. After you watch my spoiler for your video, then watch it, and then watch this video. Also, I'm a true believer in Stan Lee. I've been a fan of him and Steve Ditko, Excelsior, God rest their souls, even as a young child. So seeing their art being brought to life in this movie means more to me than I can explain. And this is a personal opinion. But personally, I think Stan Lee would be very proud of watching this movie. I think he'd be looking down from heaven and saying, "Don't make me come down there, Frank!" Like, I can hear it. I know it's a horrible impression of him, but I think Stan Lee and Steve Ditko would be very proud of this creation. And maybe a little annoyed that it took so long to get there, but I think they'd be very proud of it as someone who is still a true believer in Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's original vision. Even though, yeah, I know it was long before I was alive, but still, timelessness is timelessness. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Would watch it again. Great laughs, good cries, very emotional, and honestly, hopeful. And I think that's what we need right now is hope. So, this is my spoiler review for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a happy brand new day in life. Bye now. Goliath defeated the evil King Saul, guided by Selenium, not the Apostle Paul. Call me David, I'm the king, unwavering faith in myself and in my dreams, anointed by the holiest King of Kings.